Welcome to South Florida in the summertime. It's crazy. Hurricane winds, stormy rains. We got here though. We're going to play some poker here at the Harris. 5-10 no limit. Let's go. Sitting down at this 5-10 game at the Harris, I buy in for $3,000, which is the max. The game is a little bit slow at first. I don't really pick up any playable hands or play any significant pots for the first 2 hours until there's a raise to 115. I have ace-10 of clubs. I 3-bet out of the big blind. My opponent calls and we go heads up out of position to an ace-high board. On this super dry and unconnecting flop, I check out of position. My opponent bets 250 and I check call. Turn card 6, the action goes check check, and on the river 9, I decide to lead out for a bet and my opponent folds rather quickly. The first 2 hours of this session were boring, but this hand is far from boring. I have jack-8 of clubs on the button. I straddle to 25, small blind raises to 75, middle position player calls 75, and I complete for 50 more. 3 ways to ace, 9, 3, 2 diamonds, 1 club. Small blind initial raiser checks, middle position player checks, and I feel like this is a spot I could put out a stab bet. Potentially bet here on the flop and then maybe bet again on the turn. I feel like once the small blind player raises pre-flop and doesn't c-bet this flop, he shouldn't have a strong hand. And once the middle position player doesn't bet, once the small blind checks, he shouldn't have that strong of a hand either way. I make it $100 and both of my opponents make the call. Turn card 4 spades, a check to me. I continue with the aggression. I make it $400. Small blind very quickly folds, but the middle position player thinks for a little bit of time. I think he's mostly going to have a weaker ace-x holding here, or he's going to have a diamond flush draw. Eventually, after about 20 seconds of thinking, he puts in the call for $400, so I think I'm going to continue to barrel big on the river, unless a diamond comes, which is exactly what happens. It's the 8 of hearts. We do end up making a pair, but I'm not going to lie to you guys. Real time, I didn't even realize that this 8 gave me a pair. I thought that I just had jack high here, and I'm going to put out a big bet. If we go back to the flop play, the initial raiser checked, and this player checked with me behind. On the flop, he just called. On the turn, he just called. He didn't check raise, so I feel like he's pretty capped to just a 1-pair hand here. If he had 2-pair, a set, or a straight, I definitely think he would be putting in a raise on the flop or the turn, so given the fact that he just called on those streets, I feel like he's just going to have a 1-pair ace here. Probably not a good kicker. With that said, we're going to try to attack that 1-pair hand. I'm going to try to get him to fold a weaker ace, so I put out a bluff of $1,200. You win.
Read you like a book, brother.
Man, an ace is good. Not too hard. Nice hand.
Thank you, brother.
My opponent apparently read me like a book and makes the call with ace-5 suited for top pair. Jack-8 is no good, losing around $2,000 in this hand. I add on for a little bit of money, and we're stuck trying to get it back early on. Pretty steamed up from that absolute punt job there with jack-8 of clubs. There's a raise to 125. I 3-bet the cutoff to $300 with somewhat of a better hand this time, pocket jacks. Nice. Okay, let's get it back until the button cold 4-bets me to $1,400. What the heck kind of action is going on here? Folds back over to me. The button player is just not the kind of player that's going to be putting in light 3-bets. Definitely not the kind of player that's going to be putting in light cold 4-bets. I feel like we're just always beat here with pocket jacks. I use my kill button, which you get 1 time per game here at the Harris to see my opponent's hand. And it turns out he does have the hand I thought he had when he shows pocket aces.
Sherry running hot.
Nice hand. After those mishaps, I'm in the game now for $7,000, sitting at around $3,500, so we're stuck about $3.5K on the day. I raise King Queen offsuit here on the button. Big blind makes the call, $100 in the middle to King 6-8 rainbow. I bet super tiny, $25. He makes the call. Turn King, giving me trips. He checks. I bet $100 this time, and he makes the call again. River card 7. He checks to me for a 3rd time, and given the fact that I just bluffed big on the river earlier, I'm going to bet big now when I have it. $350 in the middle, and I get called by a worse hand. King Queen is good for trips. We get a little bit back in this hand. Still stuck about $3,000 though. Fast forward now about a half an hour, the button straddles to 25, I peel back king queen of diamonds in early position, raised to 75, I get 2 callers and the button calls, so we go 4 ways to jack, 7 deuce, 1 diamond. With overcards, backdoor flush draws, backdoor straight draws, I decide to continue here with a c-bet as a bluff, trying to double barrel and potentially triple barrel depending on what happens on the turn. Only the button makes the call and we get a good turn card with the 10 of clubs. So now this gives us an open-ended straight draw. Also having 2 overcards at the board, I'm going to continue to bet now. I make it $250. Button makes a pretty quick call going here to the river, and we get there with the perfect card, 9 of hearts. Wow, runner, perfect for the nut straight on the river. Any 8 makes a straight. There's tons of 2 pairs on this board. I'm going to bet big again. Like I said, once you get caught bluffing once, you got to continue to bet big. I make it $875 and get very quickly called. I show the nuts and my opponent shows pocket 9s for a set on the river. Wow, what a sick hand there. Super big cooler. Her hitting a set, me hitting the nut straight. Looking back, obviously, I wish I would have bet a little bit bigger. She probably would have called, and after this miracle run out for us, we are back to even now on the day. After getting super lucky on this run out, I've actually managed to get myself all the way back to even before picking up pocket kings. There's a raise to $150 over a $25 straddle. I decided to 3-bet here to $450. Trying to go heads up here in position with a premium hand. Back over to my opponent who does not want to call my 3-bet. He wants to 4-bet. He wants to play for more money. He makes it $1,200. I like this spot with pocket kings, but I'm not going to lie, I'm a little concerned I could be up against pocket aces. There isn't too many 4-bets in this game. If you guys remember earlier, I had pocket jacks, I got 4-bet, and my opponent had pocket aces. But in position, I feel like I can call over $2,000 plus to play for. I throw in one oversized yellow pumpkin chip 4-bet pot in position to the first 3 cards of jack, 4, 2 diamonds, and my opponent snap jams all in for over $2,000. Yikes. This seems like he could have aces. He could still have queens, maybe ace king. I'm also losing to jacks. I don't think I can fold though. $2,000 to win $6,000. So I pretty quickly make the call, and my opponent does not seem happy about this. He asked me, do you have kings? Which makes it seem like he's either got ace king or queens. The first board comes out with an 8 of diamonds and the 3 of spades, so the flush gets there. Second board comes out with a diamond as well, but when I show pocket kings, my opponent mucks, and just like that, we are taking down over a $6,000 pot here with pocket kings. 4-bet pot, all in on the flop, and we hold to win a massive one. We are now continuing on with the night. About an hour and a half later, a few players have left. We're playing around 6-handed now before a fun one comes up here with ace-jack offsuit. I raise to $75. Button calls, small blind calls, and we go 3 ways to king-jack 3 rainbow. With second pair, small blind checks, I check, and the button checks behind. Turn card 9 of diamonds, and the button player is away from the table getting some food. I announce a bet of $100, and without seeing my bet, the button announces a bet of $100. So he thought that I checked, he was away from the table, and now he thinks he's betting. The dealer tells him no, that I bet, so then he just calls my $100 bet here on the turn, and the small blind folds. The river card is an interesting one when it's another jack giving me trips, and the button player has some words for me.
Heads up.
I
hit it.
I'm trying to think.
Right, but when you think, I hit it. Or not, I don't lie.
When the card comes out, it pairs the board giving me trips. With a mouthful of pizza, my opponent says, I hit it. Before you think, just know I hit it. And I actually think he's telling the truth here. I feel like he does have a jack, but maybe this is some kind of speech play trying to get me to check so that he could check behind. But I actually think he did hit a jack here for trips. So what should I do? Should I bet small or should I check? looking to potentially check raise. Ultimately, I decided the best way to get the money in here is to check, allow him to bet, and then check raise. So that's what I do, and he fires out a $300 bet. Action back over on me, and I gotta figure out what size I want to go here with my check raise, and I feel like I can go big. If he's got a jack, he's probably never folding. Also, this is the same opponent that I tried to bluff earlier with Jack 8 of clubs when he, and quote, read me like a book, brother, and called with an ace. So I decide to bump it here to $1,400, and he visibly looks frustrated. He doesn't look like he's enjoying his pizza anymore. He doesn't seem like he likes this spot, and eventually he does put in the call. Another huge pot for us when we turn over ace-jack. It looks like he shows a jack to his opponent on the left, and then folds. Probably a cooler situation. A nice run out for us, winning another pot, which has now brought our stack up to $12,000 at this 5-10 game. I'm in the game for 8K, so now I'm up over $4,000, cruising along here about 4 hours into the night. Over the next hour, a few more players leave, and now we're playing short-handed, 4 people at the table, and I also just start running really good and winning a bunch of medium to small pots, and my stack goes from 12,000 all the way up to like 15,000, so I'm up like $7,000 or $8,000 on the day. Seat number 3, however, hasn't had the best of day. He's the same player I just beat with ace-jack offsuit, and also the same player I tried to bluff earlier on with Jack 8 of clubs. Since that earlier hand when he bluff caught me there, he really hasn't won too many pots, not having the best day, down a little bit of money. He seems a little bit frustrated, and he decides he wants to try to do 1 round of PLO. Now, I have no idea how to play PLO. I probably only played PLO 5 times in my life. Also, I've never played PLO $15,000 effective, but I'm not going to be the only one who says no, so I agreed to do 1 round of PLO, and then a little bit of a situation happens, we'll call it that. Seat number 3 seemed frustrated that the pots weren't going his way, and seemed possibly frustrated that the pots were going my way. I raised on the button in a PLO orbit, and he 3-bet me out of the small blind, and I just snap folded a trash hand. I honestly don't even remember if it was, I don't even know what I had. And he seemed to be very, very mad that I raised and didn't give him action with a 3-bet. He was saying that, players in this game need to be giving action, and that it seemed like maybe I was locking up to win, which I would say is the complete opposite. I'm literally playing almost every single hand at this table because we're playing 4-handed. But the reason I say this is because this little interaction had a lot to do with my decisions on this last hand of the night, moving in here against seat number 3. So, leading into this hand, the button calls 25, I raise to 125 in the small blind with king-queen offsuit. Big blind seat 3, the player I mentioned earlier, calls, and the button calls, and we go 3 ways here to king 3-3 2 spades. With top pair, good kicker, I bet out 125, and get snap raised by seat number 3, who seems to be slightly tilting to $400. Button folds, now we're heads up. I really like this spot. I've got king-queen. I shouldn't really be losing here very often. He shouldn't have aces or ace-king. He didn't 3-bet pre-flop. It is possible he could have a 3, but basically only ace-3. This type of player is probably not calling raises with queen-3 suited, 7-3 suited, 9-3 suited. So I feel very good about the strength of my hand here. He can also have a bunch of flush draws in this situation. He could have some airball bluffs. I feel like my best option is to call, see what happens on the turn, which is what I do. And the 4th card's the deuce of hearts. I check over to him, and he bets out $500 now, leaving himself with $1,200 left. And I feel like this is now a close spot between just calling and then re-raising all in. He only has $1,200 left in his stack, and let's say he was raising with a hand like King-Jack or King-10, he may just check behind that hand on the river, and he would definitely call an all-in for his last $1,200 with that hand. Let's say he was semi-bluffing on the flop and the turn with a flush draw, something like Ace-5 suited or Ace-4 suited. He may not go for a big river bluff if he misses, but he would definitely call off $1,200 here on the turn with those hands. It's possible I could be beat here, but I feel like that's very, very unlikely. Given the little bit of history I have with this opponent, he's trying to beat me. He's trying to get some of his money back. He could be blasting off here. He doesn't seem like he wants to fold, so I decided to just go with my hand. We're short-handed. I've got top pair. I am all in. I get snap called here. We run out the board 2 times. The flush gets there twice, but it doesn't matter when I'm up against ace-3 of clubs for trips on the flop. And just like that, our good night has gotten a little bit worse when we lose over a $5,000 pot here. No more crying out of you. This is a lesson for all you guys out there. If you're running bad and you're losing, all you got to do is whine and complain about it, and the poker gods will give you trips versus top pair and let you win a $5,000 pot. In all seriousness, though, I think my play is fine. Maybe a little bit thin to shove the turn there, but I feel like he would call off with weaker kings. Also want to charge some max with his flush draws as well. Unfortunately, though, for me, right after this big pot, the game ends up breaking, so it's over. I have no opportunity to try to get my losings back in this hand. However, we still book a big profit. I end up racking up my chips, heading to the cage, and cashing out for the night. Well, not my favorite way to end a poker session, losing a $5,000+ pot and then the game breaking, but I guess it could have been worse. I was down like $3,000 or $4,000 at my low point. For some reason here at this private game, I always get in the game for so much money. The last time I played, I was in for $12,000. Today I was in for $8,000 at a 5-10 game, which is super deep, but we ended up coming back. At one point I had like a 16K stack, lost a big pot there at the end, but ended up profiting $4,600 on the day. While I was sitting there grinding this game tonight, just playing, talking to the people at the table, we had some pizza as well. I was thinking back like 5-6 years ago when I used to come to this casino, which used to be called the Isle Casino. I used to grind 1-2 no limit here. So back in the day, when I first started playing poker, I came here to grind 1-2 no limit sometimes. I also came here to meet Brad Owen and Andrew Nemi at their first Florida meetup game back in 2019. I was taking shots at 2-5 at that time. I probably had like $12,000 or $13,000 to my name as a poker bankroll, as a life bankroll. And then tonight, I'm sitting on like a 15K stack. So it's pretty crazy how 5 years will change. I was just thinking that as I was sitting at the game, I was looking around thinking of 5-6 years ago when I used to grind here. So I'm definitely thankful, grateful that I've been able to run well and save up some money and continue to play poker for a living. It's been a lot of fun. It's been like 5 or 6 years now. But anyway, we're looking forward to the end of the month. Hustler Casino Live, big game. So far this month, I've been on a very big upswing. I'm up $27,000. And it's only July 17th. So hopefully that keeps going up and culminating at the end of the month. Hustler Casino Live. Let's win $40,000 on that stream, maybe. That'd be sick. All right, I'm gonna head home. I'm gonna let my dog out, get some sleep. We'll be back at it with another video shortly after this. Hope you guys enjoyed this one. Please like, comment, subscribe. Get me to 60,000 subscribers. And until next time, I'll see ya.